And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. And there's Daniel, everybody. You don't see him too often anymore. Daniel, Dusty's brother, his little troublesome brother. He picks on her. He does. I'm ratting him out. Anyways, welcome to Coffee Talk, and that is at Coffee Talk Live on YouTube, as well as Prepper University on YouTube, or at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. And of course, I will read through as many of the comments as is reasonable to do so in the live portion that takes place on YouTube at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that those of you who are listening and not able to see what's going on are able to keep up with the conversation. Isn't that right, Daniel? Daniel's a good boy. You can see how sweet he is. Look at that. See, I could just stop the whole podcast right now and go take a nap, because look how he is. You're a mess. You're a mess. You're a big baby. You know it. You're a big baby. Now I'll go ahead and greet some of the people that have been able to pop in here thus far. I see Helter is here. Keisha is here. Dragon. Armored Ghost is here. Bingo is here. Have some of the people that have decided to chime in and say hello thus far as we ring in the new year. Yes, it is January 1st. You want to get down, buddy? Oh, okay. Come here. Step up on the desk. Careful. You're going to fall. Step up on the desk. Also, special thanks. I know somebody sent cat food to the P.O. box. I have not been able to get down there yet. There's been a lot going on. Maybe tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. Always appreciated, very much appreciated. But it's been a harrowing. Actually, it's been a harrowing couple of months, quite frankly, between what's going on with my wife's parents, and I'm sick. I got sick this past weekend, and so I might sound a little bit hoarse. And we'll get into the news here in a minute. Just updating everybody. I've been sick the last couple of days. Her mother, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before, but she had a bad stroke, and they moved her from South Carolina to Georgia so that my wife could keep an eye on her. And she's in a nursing home, so-called recovering, but there's nothing to recover from, because the type of stroke she had didn't affect her body. It was a brain stroke, which they said they're seeing a lot of the last few years. I wonder how that happened. Pure speculation. She did, in fact, get her shot and the boosters. Just throwing that out there. So she didn't get, sometimes people have a stroke and they get the droopy face and their arm it withers off. But it affected her brain directly, and parts of her brain went dark. They died. She's not going to recover. And so going back and forth to the nursing home and dropping off my wife's dad to visit with her, I caught something along the way. Because if you want to get sick, go to a hospital or a nursing home. I haven't been sick in 2 years, at least. Now I've got something. I see Spectre is here. Glad you could make it today. Anyway, that's my personal news. That's enough of that. I don't get sick too often. It doesn't last long for me when I do, but it's no less irritating when it does happen. No less irritating whatsoever. Now, here's at the top of the news, and I'm sure some of you might have heard this by now as we get ready to start cracking open what's big in the world today. And Billy Boy is at the top of the bill. This is the New York Post. There he is. Bill Clinton to be unmasked as Joe number 36 and identified more than 50 times in Jeffrey Epstein's document. Oops. Well, we all kind of suspected that anyways. I'd be curious to see who some of the names are, but some of the names that have already been thrown around that are supposed to be on that list: Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Tom Hanks, Bill Murray. There's some names on there. Oh, and I see Brian is here. Says Happy New Year. Hopefully. Here we go. Former President Bill Clinton identified as John Doe 36 in a trove of court documents related to the late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, which are expected to be released this week. According to reports, Clinton, 77, is mentioned more than 50 times across redacted documents related to a 2015 lawsuit from Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre. I don't know how to pronounce that, according to ABC News. Many of the references to Clinton are believed to stem from Giuffre's attempts to compel the former president to testify against the late offender and his former paramour and co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Other Clinton mentions are expected to be related to attempts from both Maxwell and Giuffre to make Epstein come clean in 2016 after he repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment rights during a deposition in that lawsuit. The documents are not expected to implicate Clinton in any illegal activity, I bet. The names of more than 170 people known only as John and Jane Does previously with ties to Epstein are expected to be revealed in the documents after Manhattan federal judge Loretta Pruska, or is it Priska, ruled just before Christmas they would be unsealed in the new year. Because of the New Year's Day holiday, the documents are expected to be released beginning on January 2nd. So there you go. Ghislaine Maxwell insisted Clinton never visited the island, and the ex-president declined to testify, claiming he was never there. Several people identified in the documents have already had their association with Epstein or his vile trafficking ring exposed. And remember, Robert Kennedy Jr. admitted it, that he's going to be named in there. He's trying to get ahead of it. Many accusers and alleged victims are expected to be named, along with people who worked for Epstein over the years, which are part of his inner circle or allegedly participated in crimes. One such individual includes Prince Andrew, who Giuffre was allegedly told to have sex with by Maxwell and Epstein on numerous occasions. Just making a note here, the proper protocol for the wearing of a suit. I know this is way off topic, but just looking at these pictures, if your neck is too fat for the collar, your tailor should have gotten you a wider neckline so the fat rolls don't sponge out over the top of the collar and make like a muffin top appearance. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to a professional tailor, and I'm sure these guys are paying a fortune for suits, okay, then a good tailor would cover that up. Just making the point. Oh, God. Anyway, the British royal has denied the allegations and has claimed that he never met Giuffre, even though photos have emerged showing them together, and that he has settled out of court in a lawsuit brought on by Giuffre. So he says he never met her, but he settled out of court with her. That's clever. Spectre says Echidna garlic VC VD fish oil 3 times a day. And Peter said, so said Bill has a lethal heart attack next week. Yeah, we'll see. If he does, it'll be suspicious. Dragon says no one is surprised, but we also know nothing will be done to him exactly. Helter says, I did not have sex on that island, but it depends on what the word I is. Yeah. All people is here. Glad you could make it. And Booger says, good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year, indeed. And then Damien says, now that Kennedy is evil too, I'm done with all politicians. Yeah, well, they were already evil, but yeah, I see your point. But yeah, he got out ahead of that last week when they announced that they were unsealing that. He already made it clear his name will come up. And so he's trying to do damage control. I mean, he's running for president. That's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. But yeah, no one's surprised that Bill Clinton is involved. He can deny it if he wants to. We don't know what's true and what isn't. The fact that he's even associated with this guy is enough. You know who else has been doing damage control is Bill Gates. Bill Gates, who says that, oh, I only met him a couple of times and I only made a couple of donations, and I never went on any of his charter flights, though. That kind of stuff. So Bill Gates has been trying to get out ahead of it. We'll have to see how many other names pop up. Like I said, there's been a lot of rumors. I've heard again, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I've heard that like Tom Hanks is on that list, Oprah Winfrey is on that list, Ellen DeGeneres is on that list, Bill Murray is on that list. I think Tom Cruise. There's a bunch of names on there, and a bunch of attorneys and big businessmen. Bill Gates again. Obviously Prince Phillips, because he's already been called. Oh, Prince Andrew, excuse me, Prince Andrew. He's already been called out. It's all embarrassing, but it remains to be seen if anything is going to be accomplished, if anything is going to come out of it. Is he going to be held accountable for anything if anything that's exposed from the redactions discredits him? Is it going to be pursued? Excuse me. And Spectre says, if you take 5 things as soon as you feel off 90% of the time, it will stop it from getting worse if you put your M&M system in overdrive. Yeah, my wife's been working on that. But yeah, it just kind of hit me Saturday, and then Sunday I was kind of out of it, and today I'm kind of back, but my throat is still really sore and I'm still kind of stuffy, but otherwise I'm fine. Probably have the C virus, because they'll tell you the symptoms of the C virus. Those symptoms sound like the C virus. Everything sounds like the C virus. Any symptom I could have: stuffy nose, oh, it's the virus. Sore throat, oh, it's the virus. Headache, oh, triple whammy, it's the virus for sure. And then my favorite one is a loss of a sense of taste and smell. If your nose is stuffed up, you're not tasting or smelling anything. Okay? Anything could be the C virus. It give me a break. I don't trust that. I'm not getting tested for it either because I don't care. But yeah, I'm sure it's just something I picked up from going in and out of the nursing home. I can't stand those places, nursing homes and hospitals. It's like, yeah, you're just asking for it. I know it's going to catch up to me sooner or later. But anyways, we'll jump from Hollywood, I guess, to New York City. And this is from the Cool Down. The Cool Down has this article. It says, New York City to utilize 8,500 acres of parking lots for incredible new initiative, which is a bold step forward. 8,500 acres of parking lots in New York, and you still have to triple park. Just saying. New York City has plenty of famous nicknames: the city that never sleeps, the concrete jungle, the city so nice they named it twice, and so on. They didn't mention the Big Apple. They didn't call it New Yorkistan. That's what they ought to call it. Now, thanks to a groundbreaking zoning code update, New Yorkers may be excited to embrace one of its newest titles, the City of Yes. That is not going to catch on. Earlier in 2023, the New York City Council passed the City of Yes for carbon neutrality zoning regulation. God, I hate titles like that. To promote sustainable initiatives such as creating clean energy and giving residents easier access to chargers for electric vehicles. These revised zoning laws have allowed over 8,500 acres of parking lots to be covered by solar canopies, which could power more than 130,000 homes when completely built out, as reported by Electrek. By modernizing our city's zoning code, we have taken a bold step forward in fighting climate change while delivering cleaner air, lower energy costs, smarter waste management, and better access to EV technologies to New Yorkers across the city, says Mayor Eric Adams. Not only does the City of Yes regulation allow for more rooftop space to be covered by solar panels, but they also permit EV charging stations to be installed in an additional 400 million square feet of space throughout the city. These changes are paving the way for the New York City Council's ambitious goals of reducing the area's planet-warming pollution by 2050, paying special attention to the transformation of the city's energy grid, as well as encouraging shifts to EVs and public transit. I'm going to stop right there. First of all, they've already started walking that back. We've talked about it before. They had the electric snowplows, and that was a failure. They had to warehouse all their electric snowplows because they don't work. They do not work. And it costs the city a fortune because they cost 3 times as much as a traditional snowplow. That hurt New York a lot. Second of all, I thought this guy's been running around begging for money because New York is broke. But they got money to put 8,500 acres of solar panels over parking garages that, for the most part, EV vehicles cannot park in, at least not on the upper levels, because they're too damn heavy. Yeah, that's going to work out great. Excuse me. That's going to work out just great. Couple more comments here. Peter says, I've been on private jets with people. I have no idea if they've been involved with anything like this. Does that make me guilty also? Not making excuses for these dirtbags, just my experience. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that's a little bit beyond just private that you're accustomed to. But yeah, I see your point. Gary's here. Glad you could make it, as well as H12 popping in today. So we don't have money. You're talking about improving sanitation, but you're laying off sanitation workers. You're firing policemen. You're firing firemen, crying about the migrant crisis. We don't have money. We're going to have to raise taxes. The federal government needs to reimburse us at taxpayers' expense. But we got plenty of money to throw up solar panels all over the damn place. And they won't work half the year anyways. Anybody from the East Coast, how cold does it get out there? You know that stuff doesn't work well in cold weather climates, especially if there's a snow covering. Keisha says, I have said before, some of the people that went to this island didn't know what was going on. And who knows? Maybe they don't. Armored Ghost says, we don't have money, a common saying in 2024. They don't have money, but they spend plenty of it, don't they? They're spending a lot of it. And it's your money. It's your money. Eric Adams, this is your money. He's spending your money. I'd love to know how much all that's going to cost. How much are solar panels? And how much is 8,500 acres of solar panels going to cost? How much are 400 EV charging stations going to cost? And they say that it could potentially provide power to 130,000 homes. But will it? But will it? Something tells me it's not going to quite work out that way or that well. And excuse me, and again, with what they just went through with their EV snowplows and what they're about to go through with their $20 billion worth of EV school buses, because upstate New York has already warned them it's not going to work here. We don't want them, but the state of New York is forcing them to take EV buses. They're not going to move around in New York in the winter. There's no way. There's no way. It's not going to work. Oh, I see Urban Angst has joined us here today. And Spectre says, I have dyslexia, so my spelling will be off now and then. No worries, Spectre. And Gary says, never mind snow cover, a cloudy day will basically shut down solar panels. Yeah, and there you go. So, I mean, they want to spend all that money. It's unfortunate because, again, it is not their money. It is the taxpayers' money. The taxpayers have little to say about it, although I'm sure that most of your modernized, liberalized, sterilized, vaccinized New Yorkers will go along with it up until it doesn't work. And then they'll bitch about that. Peter says no money, but California just gave free health care to illegal immigrants. They've been getting it anyways. They may as well make it official. They have. From the VA as well, which is insulting. That's insulting to any veteran that you can get free health care at the VA if you're an illegal immigrant. Now, this is back. This is back. I thought we were done with it last year. I thought we were done with this type of story last year because they tried to build us up to it with their congressional hearings and all the sightings and all the media coverage and all the hullabaloo on the internet. I thought we were done with this kind of story. But first day of the new year, here it comes. And this is from the Irish Star. UFO sightings in the Ukraine. Yes, we're back to the UFOs again. UFO sightings in the Ukraine are putting neighboring Poland's air defenses on high alert. Oh my God. One more here from Chris. It says lithium batteries have low and high temperature protection because they can only charge in certain range without damaging themselves. Yeah. So we'll see how that all works out. But yeah, we're back to the UFO sightings again. We're gonna run that scare into you again. Oh my God, UFOs. Are we being invaded by aliens? And there's Zelensky. Hey Zelensky, how you doing? He's had better days. He didn't get his $61 billion care package from sweet old Uncle Joe, so he's kind of pissed off. Anyway, Poland put its air defense systems on their highest alert after sightings of an unidentified flying object. After Russian forces bombed neighboring Ukraine, the military decision came just hours after Russia fired hundreds of missiles at the cities of Kiev, Lviv, Kharkiv, and Odessa in the Ukraine. An unidentified flying object was also spotted leaving Ukraine, which further prompted Poland to raise its security levels. The object entered Polish territory near the border with Ukraine, according to Polska News, but its signal soon disappeared from radar. Oh no! Locals in the town of Sosnowa Dvoa, they named it like that on purpose, said they saw the object at 7 a.m. on December 29th. Polish military personnel undertook a ground search involving 20 officers near Zamość to try and find the flying object, which some are speculating is extraterrestrial in origin. Giving an officer described the incident as strange. There was no explosion or debris. Why are you doing a ground search if you're looking for an unidentified flying object? Just asking. Jacek Gorszwik, who is the spokesman for the operational command of Poland's armed forces, confirmed to the media that the Eastern European nation had placed its air defense systems on alert, as well as their pilots, in order to ensure the security of our airspace. We have increased the combat readiness of our air defense systems, as well as the readiness of our fighter craft, he says. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned Russia's latest attacks on the Ukraine. A maternity ward, educational facilities, a shopping mall, multi-story residential building and private homes, commercial storage, and a parking lot. Kiev, Lviv, Odessa, Dnipro, a bunch of places. Let's just put it like that. And other cities, he said. I don't know if any of that's true, but whatever. Today, Russia used nearly every type of weapon in its arsenal. I don't think so. Kindeshal's S-300s cruise missiles and drones strategy bombers launched X-10s and X-505s. A total of around 110 missiles were fired against the Ukraine, with the majority of them being shot down. But there you go. There's your first UFO story of the year. We're going to put that scare back into you folks. Have people debating over UFOs. Are UFOs coming? Are aliens trying to take over the world? Let me catch up a couple of comments. Keisha says, someone told me that Ireland, they have built up some places to house illegal, and the Irish people burned them down because the people don't want immigrants there. Ireland's a very small population already. They don't need to be flooded with foreigners. And Peter says they can always use wood burners to keep the batteries warm. There you go. And Brian says America IS, or America is. America is what, Brian? Gary says UFO just means unidentified, not alien, but you never know that from the media. Exactly. It just means they couldn't tell what it was at first. Nature Nerd says Moscow canceled their 2024 fireworks because they're putting their resources and money in the war. And Chris says Zelensky couldn't get help, so now he's asking aliens. Yeah, there you go. Maybe the aliens will help. Helter says unidentified does not equal alien. Just reiterating what was mentioned up above. Just means the observers do not know what it is. For all we know, the UFO could be a classified U.S. craft flying over the battlefields and taking notes. Armin says aliens are taking over the Western world. Illegal ones, exactly. And Dragon says little green men getting the heck out of Ukraine. And Brian says being invaded by aliens illegally. And Urban says they canceled fireworks out of respect for those suffering in active zones. So there you go. UFO sightings. You know, the media wants you to think it's freaking aliens because that's part of the agenda. People are crazy for that kind of stuff. They want to believe it. They want to believe somehow we're so important that aliens want to come here and see anything that's going on this planet. Like they could care less. If you have the capacity and the ability to traverse vast distances of space, I seriously doubt you would care about what's going on here as anything more than possibly a curiosity. And if they did come here and they wanted to do anything, if they had that type of potential, there's not much we could do about it. Favorite UFO story, though, is there's several Christian groups that believe that the UFOs are actually demons flying around in the atmosphere. I've been hearing that quite a lot in the last few months. Well, the UFOs and Air Force pilot confirmed this and this, and they can't tell what it is, but we know what it is, don't we? It's demons in the upper atmosphere. Is that biblical? Is there anything in the Bible that says demons fly around in the stratosphere? I seriously doubt it. They're flying around. The demons are flying around in the atmosphere, waiting for an opportunity to swoop in. But don't worry, you won't be here because of the rapture. If you think you're going to get raptured, don't worry about it. Because I hear that all the time. Oh, they go on and on and on. Oh, but when that time comes, we won't have to worry about it because we's going to be raptured. Yeah, we'll see. I can't tell you if there's such a thing as a rapture or not, but I can tell you it's very arrogant to assume that you're the guy. It's kind of like Jehovah's Witnesses with their whole 144,000 bit. Well, I've got to do as much Jehovah Witnessing as I can, just, for a point of fact, so that I can be one of the 144,000 chosen that'll make it to heaven, because that's one of the things they believe. How do you know that 144,000 haven't already been picked? What makes you think it's you? just asking. Oh, man. And Nature Nerd says Seattle was so foggy it blocked the Space Needle 2024 fireworks show. Oh, well, tax dollars wasted. Oh, yeah. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Chris says 80s song Rapture. Oh, Blondie. Excuse me, Blondie. and it was a rap. Um, and she had Fab Five Freddy in the video. But that's when Blondie sings, and then she switches to rap, and she sings about the man from Mars, right? He stopped eating cars and he stopped eating bars, and now he only eats guitars. There you go. But anyway, back to sweet old, lovable old, dear old Uncle Joe and some of his legacy here. They're going to try to tell you he's got a great legacy. This is his legacy. State of the Union. Iran reportedly made over $100 billion after Joe Biden stopped enforcing sanctions. Because you recall, and there he is, old turnip head himself, old Deliverance Joe, get the banjo out, that Trump put sanctions on a lot of those countries. He didn't want them to get any money, especially not from the U.S. And the Biden administration undid all of that work. So now we're feeling the repercussions of that. Here we go. Senator Bill Hagerty criticized the Biden administration for sending mixed messages to Israel, leading to Iran feeling emboldened. And that is true. He cited inconsistency in the response to Iran, including the lifting of sanctions and the provisions of billions of dollars, as well as mixed messages to Israel. Hagerty called for the reinstatement of economic sanctions on a clear diplomatic message. Senator Hagerty said they're not taking a consistent response, so of course it's not appropriate. That's why Iran feels emboldened. What we've seen is put 2 aircraft carrier strike groups into the region. That's kind of an inconsistent sentence. That's a massive show of military force, but we've been highly inconsistent in terms of the way we deal with Iran from our economic standpoint and from a diplomatic standpoint, he continued. As soon as Joe Biden came into office, they stopped enforcing the sanctions. Billions of dollars began to flow. They have enriched himself, and I guess they mean Iran. They've enriched Iran by over $100 billion, and it continues just because the Biden administration wants to appease the Iranian regime, added the lawmaker. From a diplomatic standpoint, we've been sending mixed messages to Israel. You know, we talk about ceasefires. We talk about sending humanitarian aid to Gaza. We talk about putting conditions on aid. Oops, hold still. This is jumping around. I hate when it does that. These mixed messages and the fact that we've allowed Iran to enrich itself and repopulate Hamas and Hezbollah in the Houthis with these weapons that they need have created this situation. We need to snap back economic sanctions. We need to send a clear diplomatic message. I agree. But again, that's something that Trump was very adamant about. I don't want these people getting money. He cut them off. And so in the last 3 years or so, since the Biden administration undid those sanctions, in his effort to try to appease the Iranian government, they've made over $100 billion as a result. And you see what they do with it. And it's not just Iran. It's all these countries that were cut off that Biden undid those rules. And the whole purpose behind that was to try to put an end to, it was the beginning of trying to put an end to all this money flowing out of the U.S. into the whole rest of the world, which I'm behind that. I'm behind that. There's a limit to how much help you can just throw out there, especially when your constituents are paying for it. Nature Nerd says London and Sydney had an awesome 2024 New Year's fireworks shows on the water, clear citywide. And Gary says, tap the like button. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Gary. And Legends is here. Glad you could make it. And Helter says the Biden administration knows what they're doing. This is part of the plan. Something big and bad is coming. Yeah, they're trying to wreck us. Again, they think it's just like the movie The Fifth Element, when the president of Zorn Industries was confronted by the priest. And he admitted that he was being destructive. He admitted he was destroying things. And he made the example of sweeping the stuff off his desk, and all the robots came in and cleaned up the mess. And he was like, this is what we're doing. If you destroy something, you can rebuild. This is what they think they're going to do. They think they're going to destroy everything and then they're going to somehow rebuild it better, but they're not going to be able to fix it. They're not going to be able to fix it. They're not going to be able to control it or manage it. It's just going to continue to get worse. And special thanks there to Brian. Brian made a $15 donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. Very, very much appreciated. Goes a long way, as always, to helping out the channel, helping out all of our shelter pets, of which we're back up to 13 again because of those kittens that turned up. They're still not old enough to go to the vet, but we'll get them worked on when the time is right. But thank you again, Brian. It means a lot. And Chris says, until you swallow a cherry pit. Yeah, I feel like I swallowed a cherry pit. As I know I'm very stuffy today, I apologize. As I had mentioned earlier, I've been ill this weekend, very likely caught at the nursing home where my wife's mother is staying currently as a result of her stroke. So yeah, a lot been going on the last couple of months out here. It's been a lot to deal with. So yeah, I know I'm stuffy today. If this was Saturday or Sunday, I don't think I could have done it at all. A lot of new laws going into effect. And here is some laws going into effect in Illinois. And it's the New York Post talking about it, but they're trying to set precedents again with some wonky laws. And we'll see how well that works out or how long that lasts. Hopefully it doesn't last too long, but we'll see. But we'll go ahead and talk about this here really quickly. And Nature Nerd says the Democrats can't build back better anything. They just destroy billions of dollars of city infrastructure. And that's about what it sums up to. That's about what's going on. Stay right there, kitty. And then Legend says, well, here's some good news. The original Mickey Mouse from Steamboat Willie is finally public domain as of today. You know, that happened before. There's some earlier stuff, print stuff, that became public domain, or the patent on it, or I forget how it goes, but it became available in the mid-90s. And someone got hold of it before Disney realized, and he published 2 comic books called Uncensored Mouse. And it was original Disney stuff from like newspaper strips. And he was just reprinting them. And it's just a solid black cover. And it says Uncensored Mouse on the title. And I think one was red and one was blue or something like that. And inside it was wild stuff like Mickey running around with a shotgun and crazy stuff in there. And Disney paid the guy off to stop. And so that's why it only got as far as 2 issues. And Brian says, hope everything works out for the cats, and I hope you get better soon. Well, thank you, Brian. I'm sure we do our best to keep them healthy. And, you know, at this early stage is when you really got to keep an eye on them, make sure mom is well fed so she can keep nursing and she doesn't panic, because if mama cats feel like they can't nurse, they'll start to panic and they might kill one. Anyway, New York Post, laws banning semi-automatic weapons and library censorship to take effect in Illinois. Here we go. It's always Illinois. With the calendar page turn to 2024 on Monday comes 320 new state laws that Illinois residents will need to navigate. Did the Illinois residents even know this was coming? Did they have a say in any of it? Some will have a widespread effect, including a law banning semi-automatic rifles and another requiring paid time off. But others won't have an immediate or noticeable impact, including a law that lets county governments consider a potential contractor's participation in an approved apprenticeship program in determining the winning low bid for a project. One law that took effect in 2019 but is still impacting tens of thousands of workers is an increase of the minimum wage. It increases to $14 an hour on January 1st for non-tipped workers and will reach 15 in a year. Most importantly here, you see ban on semi-automatic weapons. Supreme Court has failed to take up the case of Illinois' ban on the sale, possession, or manufacture of automatic weapons, like the type used in a mass shooting at a 2023 July 4th parade in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park. Let me stop right there. This is where they make a clerical error in their sentencing here. You're talking about banning the sale, possession, of manufacture of automatic weapons. Do they mean automatic weapons as a whole? Because you need very special licensing to have automatic weapons legally anyways, which is a nightmare to go through and is very expensive. Secondly, what they're doing is they're putting a ban on semi-automatic weapons, which is basically everything. Semi-automatic weapons is anything spring-loaded. Semi-automatic weapons means it fires every time you pull the trigger. So it does not count, of course, revolvers or lever action or anything like that. But and they clarify again down here because that didn't sound right. It says an Illinois law banning the sale, possession, and manufacturing of certain semi-automatic weapons is set to take effect in 2024. Law bans dozens of specific brands or types and handguns, of rifles and handguns, including magazines. No rifle will be allowed to accommodate more than 10 rounds, with a 15-round limit for handguns. Those who previously purchased such guns must register them with the Illinois State Police by January 1st. That's too much. That's way too much. To not only try to ban semi-automatic firearms and put additional magazine capacity limits, but to try to force people to bring their firearms in and register them, they're a step away from confiscation at that point. This can't fly. It can't fly. And Illinois is notorious for not taking a stand on this kind of stuff. It already happened with the IRA, with the Illinois Rifle Association. And I've talked about this before. When I lived in Illinois and I was a member of a rifle club, and they were talking about the Illinois Rifle Association and how great it was. And I'm like, the Illinois Rifle Association screwed you people. The reason, when it was coming to a vote, the reason that that the NRA didn't want to get involved was because it was going to force the issue of constitutional carry in your state. Because the IRA got involved, Illinois Rifle Association, and sold you on the idea that we have to make sure guns don't end up in the hands of the wrong types of people, you ended up with needing 2 licenses to own a gun. You have to have your FOID card, and you have to have your other license. So you let them work with the state and screw you, but you think they're great somehow because your constitutional rights are getting walked on. And keeping the guns out of the wrong people, how are you doing that? Because I could go downtown in Chicago and buy a gun on the slide or steal one somewhere. You didn't help anybody. Oh, Gary Edwards is here. Says Happy New Year. And Nature Nerd says Chicago has hundreds of thousands of gang members and they ban guns for the citizens. Exactly. Dragon says those Illinois lawmakers get to pat themselves on the back and say they did something. They didn't do anything significant. No, they did something significant. They screwed over their constituents again. Helter says, are these the same weapons banned for the police as well? No. Well, you know, the police have access to fully automatic weapons. And H12 says, I heard that 99% of gun owners have not registered. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They should try to take a stand for once. God, And Urban says registration of personal protective measures. Welcome to Canada. And Brian says, when will liberals realize that? They'll realize it when it's too late. Often, people don't get the point until it's too late. And the book ban prohibition here, that's the other one. Libraries that indiscriminately ban books will not be eligible for state funds. They must adopt the American Library Association's Library Bill of Rights, stating materials should not be excluded because of the origin, background, or views of those contributing to their creation. Illinois libraries that ban books will not be eligible for state funds. So that's the other big one. It says especially those with alphabet themes and those written by people of color. Really, show me anywhere in the U.S. since at least 1970 where a library has banned a book written by a black person. Seriously? And especially in the modern area with alphabet-themed books. They put that crap front and center in every freaking library because they're trying to check boxes. I seriously doubt, especially in Chicago and other parts of Illinois, that they're banning books written by black people or gay people. I don't believe that at all. But I do agree that they shouldn't ban the books from the library. But if any books were getting banned in the library, I doubt that those are the ones. I really don't. I don't believe it. H12 says if you don't want the wrong people to own guns, that's why you put them in jail. I guess. You would think. And Nature Nerd says the Democrats want to ban conservative books. Pretty much. They don't want you reading anything by Orwell. They don't want you reading Animal Farm. They don't want you reading 1984. Yeah, there you go. Urban says can't ban pedos, but you can't ban weirdos. But Anne Frank is not allowed. Somebody did that. Who pulled Anne Frank? That sounds familiar. That sounds like a story I read not too long ago. And speaking of the alphabet mafia, I've got a story coming up, and it fits into the stupid story of the week. Stupid story of the week. Embarrassingly stupid and foolish. Makes you wonder how the hell it could possibly happen. Are people really this dumb? Yes, the hell they are. You'll get a kick out of this. But yeah, I don't think books should be banned. I don't want to see in every library a queer section on the center display every freaking week. Can't you? I mean, remember when libraries used to put classic literature? They'd have like Tale of Two Cities featured. You know what I mean? They'd have The Jungle featured. Now it's all alphabet garbage. Oh, and Dirt Von Franz says, hello, everyone. How are the kitties? Kitties are doing good. Again, we're up to 13 because we got a mama cat out there who gave birth to 3. And she's living in one of the shelters on the porch. She's decided we're safe and she wants to have her babies there. And so we're keeping an eye on them until they're old enough to try to get processed. So yeah, and we just got rid of 3, Derp, because you remember we got rid of 4 and they were kittens, and we got them properly vetted and adopted. Actually, the vet begged us for them because they were like, hey, we got a shelter that's dying for some kittens, and we let them we adopted them out. And then we ended up with 4 more immediately, Granny Smith and 3 kittens, and we got those 3 kittens adopted out. And then okay, we're down to 10, we're getting somewhere. Now we get 3 more. So yeah, 13. And that's 3 3 says, I live in the suburbs of Chicago. Illinois is the absolute worst when it comes to gun ownership laws. Don't use a credit card for purchases of ammo or guns. The credit card agencies report everything. Yeah, there's a code they use. That is true. There's a code they use that goes on your receipt, and they track it. I used to live, again, I mentioned earlier, I used to live in Illinois. It's a mess the way the laws work out there. It's very much against law-abiding gun owners, and it changes from county to county. If I'm in Kane County and I've got a gun, like I've got a Smith and Wesson 308. I've got a Smith and Wesson 308 with um, a built-in laser sight. Okay, it's manufactured that way. In Kane County, legal. Cook County, not legal, because you can't have a laser sight on a gun. I'll go to jail if I carried that into Cook County, even with my licensing. So it's like, it changes from county to county to county. You don't know who's doing what. It's a mess, and they do it on purpose so that they can hem you up. Armored Ghost says San Francisco's main library is a de facto homeless shelter and drug use facility. I believe it. And Derp says, yay, they are getting homes. Yeah, we do our best. We take care of them. We have a few that aren't suitable, that they would never get adopted. We'll take care of them. But if we get any that's suitable, we work with Halo House and we work with a local vet. Halo House is a shelter. They primarily deal with dogs, and we get it sorted out. Urban says a high school in Orlando, Florida removed an adaptation of Anne Frank's diary. It was a graphic novel format, and apparently conservative groups complained. So maybe the story is not so simple. Okay. Armin says it seems ironic guns is supposedly a fundamental right in America, yet they're so heavily regulated. Well, they don't want you to have that right. The less you're able to be independent, the more you must be codependent. That's how government works. Spectre says if you can move to the country, if you don't do it on your own, get family and or friends to go in on some land. Time is short, people. Yeah, not everybody can do it, but if you have the capacity to, I would try. I would try to get the hell away from urban areas, even a little bit, even a suburb, something. Anyway, here's your stupid story of the week. It's another one from State of the Union. The Queer Muslim Project is the latest recipient of an American taxpayer-funded grant. Queer Muslim Project. And here they are. You are not Rainbow Bright. Rainbow Bright was cute. This is creepy. Just saying. The State Department has provided financial support to a queer Muslim organization in India. Oh, aiming to offer alphabet individuals a platform for expression. This grant, part of the U.S. policy to advance alphabet rights globally, supports the Queer Muslim Project, which had earlier partnered with the U.S. Consulate General Mumbai for a creative incubator program. The recent funding specific purpose remains unclear. Oh. The Queer Muslim Project, sponsored by various entities, including the State Department, that's America, Meta, Netflix, and the British government, focuses on providing a platform for alphabet Muslims and exploring the intersection of queerness and Islam. Okay, I can solve that for you real quick. One, there is no queerness in Islam. It's an executable offense. They will kill you. Secondly, it's hard enough just being Muslim in India. Okay, that's why there's Pakistan. India and Pakistan used to be connected. They said, no, we don't want it, pushed all the Muslims into Pakistan and shuttered that border. Okay? Don't be in India raising hell about how Muslim you are and gay too. And then have the nerve to get funded with taxpayer money, from the United States, State Department, tax dollars, our tax dollars, going all over the globe for bullshit projects to give them a platform. Bitch, they got the internet. They want a platform. Let them use Twitter like everybody else. Let them use TikTok. Let them use Facebook like everybody the hell else. All right? Meta, Netflix, and the British government is funding these people. Oh my God, I'm in the wrong line of work. Where's my money from the State Department? And I tried to look this up to find out how much money this organization is getting. I can't find any information on it. I want to know how much they're getting paid in taxpayer money from the United States and the UK. How much is Netflix giving them? How much is Meta giving them to showboat Muslim queerness? How does that work? How does that work? Let me catch up a couple of comments here. Spectre says, if you could, I read that one, excuse me. Gary said, circle of wagons. Absolutely. Spectre says, you don't have to live on it, but it will be there when you need it. Exactly. You could use it as a bug out location if ever necessary. Derp says, oxymoron. Yeah, it absolutely is. It's like gays for Palestine. That makes no sense. None. Armin says, show us more turtles sometimes, maybe with a cat. I did have that one short with that big frickin' snapping turtle I rescued off the road. Armin says, Generation Rainbow is here. Urban says, well, if the Catholic Pope is all for gay marriage, then why not a queer Muslim project for symmetry? No kidding. And Derp says, anyone ever wonder why Swaziland is never in the news, like ever? Guess where the controllers live. Huh. And Nature Nerd says, Hindus worship millions of gods, so they may get mixed into that alphabet thing. Yeah, you got to be careful. They could get sucked down that rabbit hole somewhere. Inspector says, this is the problem. They got to push it down your throat, and they have to be in everyone's face. Just be you and stop pushing it on other people. Yeah, I don't care what they do. Just don't ask me to celebrate it with you. Leave me the hell alone. And Inspector says they want special rights that no one else has. And Urban says Islamophobia versus homophobia. Maybe you can mix the two. Maybe you can mix the two. Maybe it's host-lamophobia. Gary says, what's the going rate for a group helping alphabet group cats? There's no such thing. You can't demonstrate homosexuality in nature. I've gone down that road. I went down that road a few years back, and I actually I forget who I contacted, challenged them to give me a demonstration. Everything that you can find that talks about gayness in nature narrows down to a book written by a person who, I forget the name of the guy, with his personal reflections in observations in nature, whereby he claims that they were gay. So anytime two male animals are friendly with each other, I guess they're gay. You know, the idea of homosexuality is the usury of the same sex as if it were the opposite sex. That's where the sexuality part comes in. Animals don't do that. There's no creatures in nature that really do that. It can't be demonstrated. And like I said, there's the one guy's book. It's personal observations. There's no scientific data. Merv says it's another way to get paid using tax dollars. No kidding. And Gary says conservative mainstream media feeds on outrage. Every alphabet hissy fit becomes national news. And Gary says homosexuality is environmentally driven by overexposure to human pheromones during pregnancy. I never heard that. I never was with somebody pregnant and desired a dude. I'll tell you that right now. Anyways, with that, I'll go ahead and start wrapping things up as we are past the top of the hour. Actually, again, this is Coffee Talk, or at Coffee Talk Live on YouTube, as well as Prepper University on YouTube, and at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Special thanks to Brian for making a donation to the channel today. Very, very much appreciated. Goes a long way towards helping us out. Thanks again, of course, to everybody who was able to join us here today. Hope you all got something out of the conversation, and we will catch you again tomorrow.